Aloha Kohala. You're listening to KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. This is, it's 3:05, February 14th. You're listening to Intuitive Talk Story with Eila and
Michál.
Oh, wait, I have to put your microphone on. I'm just behind the ball here. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Michál Anna.
And it's Happy Love Day today.
It is.
Yeah,
love.
that's our...
Every day is a good day to be loving, but today is the day that celebrates a lot of love. So
yeah, let's celebrate
that. Let's celebrate the love and
yeah.
ride the energy of love today.
Yeah, and talk a bit about love.
What is love?
What is love?
What is love?
You know, just saying that reminds me of I was maybe 10 when I wrote a poem. I think this was a thing back then. This would be 1970. Love is ... And I wrote, like 25 things. That was my poem.
Beautiful.
And it'd be fun to read that today and see what I thought love was back then.
Oh, it would.
Yeah.
It really would.
So what does love mean to you out there? Like, what is love
if
for
anyone
you?
has any thoughts about what love means to you today,
yeah,
and you want to call in and chat with us,
808-884-5657, and I'll pull the phone over so I might actually see it.
Good idea.
Okay.
So what is love? There's lots of different kinds of love, and we talk about love in a lot of different ways. So defining love first, I think we have a lot of different types of love, which is important to understand. We've got more of the eros love, which is more of the romantic love, which is more of an emotion, really, kind of.
Yeah,
an emotion
and attraction, and there's a
desire
vibration with that too, right? Yeah,
connection, specific.
Yeah,
to that type of love. And then you have more of like an agape love, which is like more all-encompassing love for your family, your mother, your father,
right.
So we have just like our familial love, familial love for people that we are close to, brother, sister. But in essence, we're really all that. So then you kind of go into just love I think of it more as a state of beingness.
Yeah.
And when we think of that, it's not the same as romantic love. It's not like because of this love, romantic love goes out the door. That can be there too. It's its own thing. But it's that state of being and being love, to me, is more about that vibration that we speak of. It's a vibration of feeling. And what is it? Ultimately, I think like it's care. It's a care. It's almost like it's this feeling like, because love is ultimately, I want the best for you as I want for myself. I want that ant. I want that bee. I want that bird. Everything is, in essence, me. It's all reflecting myself. So it means I have infinite care. I have infinite patience, kindness. Patience can be a hard one because that's a quality.
Well, I think, and I think there's also what comes up for me is, I think the first time I experienced an unconditional love was with one of my children being born. Like, it was like, and I feel this way today, it's kind of like, no matter what that person does, I love them. And that's not easy, across the board. Like, I think, did I have unconditional love for my mom? I don't think so. I was probably, I don't know that I did. So it's interesting to think about even the word unconditional, like without judgment. You accept the person where they are. You don't expect them to do something for you. It's
Absolutely.
loaded.
It's really what we're always talking about, which is getting to the place of true unconditional love and being in neutral, 0 point neutrality. That's kind of the essence of the spiritual path, is to walk in unconditional love, right? All the time, anywhere. And I am always saying, the game is bounds, and wherever, if I can take you anywhere and pull you out of your unconditional love, bingo, there's where the work is.
Yeah.
That's where there's still things to move out of the way so that you can live in your unconditional love. So we might have, you have partnerships today, or, people that you're with, and so we kind of honor that eros love, that commitment, that agreement, that we choose to maybe, experience romance and these kind of things with one person. And then we just honor love itself, and that I love you, Eila. I love everything we're doing. And I want the best for you. I want you to be so happy and have everything you want because I love you unconditionally, and regardless of what your opinions really are. I want whatever. It's like, I just love
you want the best. That's it.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever works
whatever
for you.
you want, and whoever you are.
Yeah, however you
without
want
control.
express yourself.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think that's what we're all trying to do, is feel the freedom to ultimately express ourselves and bring the infinite, awesome, amazing being that each of us is out to the table, and feel safe and feel supported in that. And that what we talk about a lot is that's an inside job. And if all of us do that inside work and that interior work, then when we come out into the world, we can sit here and feel it more supported, because we're creating that together. We're actually calling in, I'm supporting, then we're just kind of, oh, you're supported, I'm supported, great. And then we get more fun. Well, now that energy starts to rise, because the safety and support is instantly felt. It's an instant feeling amongst people who are vibrating in that energy, and it allows you to bring out more of your fun, your creativity, your juice. And so getting in that framework for yourself, where you're expanding and allowing yourself to express, to feel more of this juiciness in yourself, right?
Yeah, I have found over my life that the more I love myself, the easier it is to love others and to be present with them, and to separate out what I see maybe as a behavior and say, well, I don't love that behavior, whether it's me or somebody else. That doesn't change the love, though. It's just a behavior that, my friend or my kid or whoever, maybe I see something there that doesn't resonate for me. Maybe they're in a different political party than I am. That has nothing to do with love, though. That's
absolutely not.
That's 3D living. We have different choices. We have different paths and all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unconditional love is an inside job. So it's really about, I always heard, right, I think maybe even from my mom, but say really it's really, you can't love another person until as much as you can love yourself. You can only love another person as much as you love yourself, because wherever you don't love yourself, you'll judge, you'll do something, you'll reflect, because it's your stuff. Back to there's nobody out there.
Nobody out there. Yeah.
So all of it is you, and it's about you navigating your movie, because you're ultimately in a vibratory movie that you're always creating. So whatever is in front of you is, well, back to you. Back to you, Eila.
Yeah. And I think when we have things with other people that we rub up against, it is an opportunity to look at, where am I? Maybe I'm not loving myself in the way I could be loving myself.
Well, and I brought this up last show, actually, about embracing what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And that is, that's really what happens. We come into intimate relationships. Ultimately, our intimate relationships play out our parents. They're the ones that get to do that. Thank you. And ultimately bring up all those childhood wounds, those childhood things that we don't want to look at. They bring them up. Our close people will bring up our wounds. We don't let Joe Schmo down at the ice cream shop bring up our wounds. We're not attached. Right. But you care about you care about what they think. It has meaning. Now you're under there. So those are the people that are going to bring it up. So it's hilarious when we go, well, it's just, whatever relationship we're in, we think they're the problem.
Yeah.
It's never that, because they're your lesson. They're always our lesson. I'm loving my lessons. Whee! And, it's all we can do is love our lessons.
Yeah.
Love our lessons. Give thanks for the opportunity to see myself, to see what I need to see, to grow, and to stand in my unconditional love, to hold space, to love. Once you've kind of moved through your own energies, and you're not maybe triggering yourself anymore, you can then hold space for another person. And that is about just being in your unconditional love. just going to unconditional love all the time, no matter what that person is doing, because you know they're navigating energies, or they're navigating wounding from their parents or ancestral things, or maybe they're dealing with old energies, or I mean, there's a lot of things that can be happening, honestly. The game gets real wide. So, in ultimately speaking, we're making choices all the time, and it's us choosing what transpires in our reality in some form. We're choosing. So when we take self-responsibility, then we can really live in freedom. And that true freedom, then when we're free, well, we feel our love, right? Now I'm in love. Yeah, I'm free. I feel love. You feel love. Hey, what's up, Eila? Woo! That's how we get to feel. It's really our natural state as angelic humanity, which is what we are.
As you're talking about all that, I'm thinking about the whole leveling up process. And but before I say that, I think one of the things that's important is that we're always on this path. We are always leveling up. So there may be times that where I am today, I don't have to go through what I went through maybe when I was 30, because I've process that. But that doesn't mean I won't have some new thing that I'm going to have to do today, and a new thing that I might have to deal with next month, and a new thing that when I'm 70 or 80 or 90, it's like it's never ending. It's just different, and it changes and it shifts. And we don't want to just wait until we're all 100% perfect to have an intimate relationship. We work it out within the relationship.
Yeah.
I know some people think, I have to get it all. I'm working on my stuff, and she's working on her stuff. And maybe next year when we get through all our stuff, we'll be able to get together. And I'm like, it's supposed to be a little messy. So you can work on your stuff and she can work on her stuff. And you can also be together and talk about that process together.
Right. You can support one another.
Yeah.
It can be difficult. Now, here's where it gets tricky in that. For the most, what I've noticed in my own journey, and as well as talking with others about these kind of things, is that when you come to real deep soul mate agreement and relationships that are really have that depth, honestly, it's like everything this game is set up for you not to like get it easily. It's not exactly, rooting for you. The game is so like your wounds match.
Yeah.
So the only way out of that, to be honest, is someone's got to get to zero. That's been my experience. You got to get, and so I choose to just go to, you go to zero, and choose. What does that
mean to you?
So for me, that means take nothing personal, like we've talked about.
Yeah.
First off, numero uno.
Yeah.
Take nothing personal. Whatever your partner is saying to you right now has nothing to do with you.
Right.
It's actually, you've just triggered something that's coming from somewhere else. And wherever that's coming from doesn't belong to you, but you might be able to, if you're in a proactive relationship where supporting each other, you might then be able to tune into that and go, oh, I can see that maybe that reminded him of his mother, or you might perceive it to be something like that. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what it is, right? Because it's good to ask the person when that time comes, did you feel that maybe that was around your mother, or right? You don't want to assume, right? So we don't want to make that other
right. You don't want to. You're not in control of it all.
At the same time, I might be really sensing that and feeling it and knowing it and seeing it and experiencing it. So that might be helpful for the person, right? But ultimately, that means it's my job to realize that I'm not involved here. And probably the best, once a trigger, we've talked about triggers a lot, once a trigger is ignited and you see it trigger in someone else you love, your best option is just go to love. Like we've talked about, go to embrace.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Love you. Maybe, you know what? I think I'm done with this conversation for right now. Let's pick it back up later.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do X, Y, Z, or I feel, hey, sorry, or, if I hit a chord, my apologies. I'll go ahead and, exit the system.
Yeah.
Basically find a way to close that engagement so that the person will if they're getting into a trigger, usually now you're going to be part of their trigger. If you stay going more,
Yes.
now you're in their trigger.
Yeah.
And now if it's about their mother, they're talking to you like it was like you're their mother or
Right.
their sister or whoever it might be. They're experiencing you as if you're doing the thing they don't want. And you may not be doing that thing. It may not, like you might say, hey, I'm just checking in. Are you on the phone? And they're like, why are you always controlling me? Or what are you doing? Why are you on the phone? Guy, you're always asking me questions. Oh, I just wanted to tell you something because I have a message for you, right?
Right.
I have nothing to do with any of those thoughts.
Right.
But that person might be perceiving it that way because of their own wounding.
Sure.
Because they've experienced that in their life. Maybe they had an abusive father. Maybe it doesn't even have to be abusive. It can just be someone who really told them all the time what to do.
Yeah.
Or maybe was incredibly overbearing.
Yeah.
Or they didn't ever have any space. Whatever the thing might be, we start to recognize in general that everybody is dealing with something. Everybody. None of us are perfect. None of us came from like if you were and come from the angelics, you wouldn't be sitting here in 3D.
Right. Exactly.
If we wouldn't all be here if we didn't have something to learn. You were saying back to that, like we're here to see this and learn the entire journey, right? Until we're old. Well, yeah, because if you're sitting in this realm, we're in the rubble of the realms. This is the lowest realm we could be in. So this whole thing is a school. The entire gig is school. You're in school until you get out of here, basically. So.
And I think recognizing that, you chose it. Owning that, this is the path that I chose. The highs and the lows and everything in between.
So that gets into programming. And this is really, really important to start understanding. And it's really, becoming more prevalent. I was just listening to an awesome young starseed talking, and she is amazing, young Earth Star Academy. If you're interested in more like awesome star stuff. And of course, check out my channel, Michalannalove. But really, she's breaking it down and telling you about what's going on a much deeper level than I'm talking about right here on the radio. So, but what's important to remember is that we are really, our natural state is to feel good. We are all co-creators. We are all angelic humans, and we all have the ability to feel good and to stay in our love. We have been wounded, traumatized, and then programmed through programming and all sorts of mind control and other things on this planetary field that have been going on. And what is mind control? That really means repetition. If you put anything repetitively into your brain all the time, your brain starts to actually create that, it fields to that reality. It will create the reality around you based on the repetitive input. That's why repetition is the mother of all learning. Because whatever you put in there all the time becomes the thing that controls your mind in essence, right? Yeah. So that's what that really means, is that wherever we're putting our attention and our energy, that's what we're receiving back. So if we're being broadcast negative thoughts, we're listening to the news or watching the television all day, we're feeling these frequencies of horror, despair, war, the massive, everyone's sick. If we're just listening to that and letting that filter into our field all the time, our brain begins to accustom to that input. Like we are, in essence, attuning ourselves to that station.
Well, that's right, because that's a certain vibration, all of that news and all of the level of that information is whatever that vibration is. And so if you stay in it, you're going to be at it. And if you want to enjoy your life more, then we have to be more discerning about what we're letting in, what we're listening to, or what we're watching.
What am I spending my time doing?
Right. And sometimes I know people who live with somebody who leaves the TV on all the time and they have the news on all the time. And they're like, well, what am I going to do? I live in the same house. It's like, well, you got to figure out something, because you're taking it, put headphones on then, like something that can help you not to be taking that in.
That's right. And and ultimately speaking, we are here, and we've talked about this, the 5D, and how we, in other shows, about how we're moving into this greater framework that's really founded in the vibration of unconditional love. And in order to do that, it means us really taking that self-responsibility and seeing how these programs and how these things are operating in our own life, and realizing that I am not my behavior, as Eila was speaking about earlier, the actions and behaviors that I embodied. That wasn't me. Where'd that come from? Who hasn't felt that way, right? It's a program. Programming is a real thing. So I actually see it in the body as inserts, like hardware and drives, and the kind of the computer drive kind of things. It's very interesting. So we are running that based on what we put our energy to. So if and that really comes a lot from, again, traumatizing experiences, or just, trauma is a big word. It doesn't necessarily mean I've been abused. Back to that. It can mean just that maybe I was in a family of perfectionists who were overachievers, and we have a lot of money in abundance, and everybody better do their, better be a certain way. That can be traumatizing.
Yeah.
See, whatever it is, it doesn't have to have like what we think of as a negative feeling. It's just maybe something that wasn't in alignment to my spirit, to what my soul is wanting. Maybe I was never felt safe, or felt like I was trusted, or that I was listened to, valued, heard. So we come back to these real base root feelings. A lot of times when we're talking, we say, well, how you feel? Well, I feel rejected. Okay, but what's behind that? It's not just rejected. I'm actually feeling unloved. I'm actually feeling not loved. And what am I feeling not loved about? See, now I can get a little deeper into my being, but I'm coming into the root of what the core feeling is. And that's really what's running any programming that I'm navigating. So if I can get to the core, and then I want to reprogram it again, repetition is the mother of all learning. So we can do a process I've talked about, and I love picking up your pearls, but it's really just deleting, zeroing out any of those things. As you change that energy, you see yourself as loved, as worthy. You realize maybe if there's a memory involved, that person is no longer the culprit, that you see that they are in their own pain. It was never about you in the first place. You're able to see and not take it personal, right? So then you're able to see that, and then you can zero it out, and you can claim back your own energy to yourself and move into a greater framework of love. So we're really collecting our pieces so that we can be responsible for ourselves, so that I know when I go out to the world and Joe yells at me, that has nothing to do with me. I can just be loving to Joe and be supportive. Maybe Joe really needs some support and help, and maybe I actually have the help that he needs. Who knows? Either way, it's an opportunity, because we are ultimately, I am you, you are me, and really we're all brothers and sisters in this game of angelic humanity.
Yes, we are. I think the not taking it personally, I know that continues to be a challenge for me. And there's also something in there with my own desire to honor what's inside of me, because I know in my life I've not honored it. Maybe I took something personal, but I didn't let anybody know on the outside, or maybe I didn't even let me know on the inside, is more likely. And I think it's really important that we honor whatever comes up for us. So if somebody says something to me and I feel angry, right? Like they said that and I feel angry. So maybe I'm not going to lash out at them, because I know I don't need to take it personally. Yet I still need to honor something. I need to go look at that, whatever that is that it set me off. Why did it set me off? Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm not supposed to take this personally, but I am taking this personally, so I need to look at this.
Right, like maybe someone's giving you like say you're an artist and they're critiquing your painting, and you're just sitting there like, oh, I love it, but hey, what about, I don't know about this or that, and it really activates a memory of someone who really put down, maybe your father or your mother put down a project of yours as a child, or somebody laughed at you, or somebody did something to you. And then see, it's triggering that old memory. And
Right.
then one is reacting from that place, feeling that same pain, because the little child inside of us is still there. We're still that little child of all ages right there in our forefront. And so that's who we're constantly working with is, little Michál. I'm working with my little self in there. So you're working with your inner self. Okay, what's really going on? And if you do stop and ask, my experiences, your inner self will tell you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, okay, if I put my hands on my heart, on my body, on my chest, take a deep breath, close my eyes, get to somewhere safe where you can do that, exit to the bathroom or wherever. The bathroom is
Bathroom's
the
great.
safest place anywhere. And put your hands on your chest and just feel it like, hey, little me, what's going on? And your little me will usually tell you something like, I didn't get love like that, or nobody talked to me that way. Like, maybe you're jealous. Maybe I feel sad. Maybe my little girl is like, oh, nobody loved me. Whatever it is, give your little self the opportunity to express it, to honor
Yeah.
that feeling that might really be in there. Because what I was feeling when you were speaking that is whatever you might have suppressed, it was feeling like you suppressed it because, well, you shouldn't even be thinking that, Eila.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Like that kind of feeling was like, well, you shouldn't even have thought it. Like we're told that a lot. Well, you shouldn't even think that, or you shouldn't even do this, and you shouldn't do that. So we don't want to should on ourselves, and we get should on a lot. So
Yeah.
we want to pull any of those off and go, no, whatever I need to express, whatever's in there, even if it's silly, even if it makes no sense, even if it's like, well, that's dumb. I mean, I know it's even dumb in my head, but it doesn't even make any sense to me, but I need to express it because, again, it's coming from somewhere else. It probably isn't that person. Like, it's really not that I'm really not, mad at you, Susie Q. It's really that this brings up my aunt, or it brings up when I was a kid and my brother and I fought, or something else. So the more you dig, the more you will find the answer.
Well, I think that's a good place to have a break. So we are going
Yes.
to have a station break, and we will be back in just a couple of minutes. You're listening to Intuitive Talk Story on KNKR.
Because of you, there's a song in my heart.
That's right, Kohala. There is a song in my heart, and it's thanks to KNKR. I love doing my show, Women's Voices. Please tune in every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. You can catch it on your radio at 96.1, or you can go stream it at knkr.org.
Because of you, the sun will shine. The moon and stars will make you mine.
The North Kohala Community Emergency Response Team is looking for more volunteers. The volunteer training will provide you with the knowledge and skills to prepare for and properly respond to an emergency impacting yourself, your family, and your community. You will learn what to do when disaster strikes your area. The next training will be February 24th and 25th in Waikoloa. For more information, contact John Winter, winterj@whitman.edu. That's winterj@whitman.edu. Prepare yourself and your community for an emergency.
Aloha from DJ Stereo Gab. Turn on and tune in Wednesday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. for Switched On Stereo Gab, bringing you fun and mind-expanding tunes curated from my collection, along with talk story about bands, genres, and shows. Get switched on to a wide-ranging mix of psychedelic and inspiring music. Wednesdays, 6 to 8 p.m. on KNKR and streaming at knkr.org.
Aloha and welcome back. You're listening to KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. This is Intuitive Talk Story on February 14th, 2024. Happy Love Day to everybody. And I'm here. This is Eila Allgood with
Michál, Anna.
And so we're talking a lot about love, diving into love today.
Diving into love. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking a little bit at the break that, part of self-love is taking self-care.
Yes.
Taking care of our body, taking care of our emotions. We talk a lot about emotions. Taking care of our mental part of us. There's all these parts to us. So, and I brought up the concept of addiction.
Yes.
And I've been struggling with sugar lately.
The sugar.
Yeah.
And sugar is an interesting one. Sugar is interesting.
Yeah.
Because first off, addictions, let's not put any label on anything that makes us feel negative or horrible about ourselves.
Yeah.
It, some point of view is to like move into more of your, like dive into that addiction.
Yeah.
Eila, why don't you have 5 cherry pies tonight? Here
Yeah.
you go. And then you
Yeah.
like, I've
done that.
Sick. I don't
you
ever
binge
wanna do
till you
this
get sick and
again,
then
right?
you don't eat it anymore. And maybe people do that with alcohol and other substances where they do it till they can't look at it anymore. And then, now I'll stop.
There's one mode.
That's one way to do it. Yeah.
Another way is thinking about, well, what am I looking for? When we're going for something, we're looking for something. Like I want something, and well, I want this. I grab this. Something is filling me up.
Yeah.
This one thing. First off, the motion itself of eating, just picking the stuff up, putting it in your mouth, and chewing is a whole thing. A whole like sensory perception, movement. It has a lot in there. There's a lot of satisfaction going on just in the sensory arena. That sensory arena, we often are looking for some sensory perception because I'm not feeling satisfied anywhere else. I'm trying to give myself like a high because I'm not feeling super high right now in my day or whatever. So this is going to make me feel good. And it does. It gives us this like, woo!
Yeah, it's an
I'm
instant
feeling
boost.
good.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Right? We're all of a sudden snappy. And so that is, we're replacing, it's kind of like we're replacing our own endorphins with this fake endorphin. It's jolting us up, but then it usually drops us, right? Which is the part of the problem. And not only that, what sugar, unfortunately, sugar is an actual like white sugar. Everything, all parasites love it. So all the parasites, all the bugs, all the stuff, they love sugar. So everything comes, you attract more bugs, more sugar, more parasites, more things of that nature. What sugar can do, like what we know just in science, right? Sugar can then create like a form of candida, for instance, in the body. Candida is when you have an over yeast, over sugared body, which then does become like parasite-ridden. So you have to clear the candida, clear the parasites. And how you do that is going to like all greens, kind of diet, like, protein and greens kind of thing. Releasing sugar from your life. Pretty much anything white turns into sugar.
White bread,
Everything
white rice.
white, all of that sugar.
Yep.
Yeah. So most of us have some sort of sugar addiction in some way.
Yeah.
The whole of our society eats rice.
Yeah.
We're all about rice. Here in Hawaii, everybody eats rice.
Right. And I grew up with white potatoes.
Potatoes. I love potatoes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places we can all look at our sugar consumption,
Right.
for sure, because it's a thing, and it also deteriorates the mind, And so what happens is unfortunately, when we invite, it's kind of, we've talked about this before. Well, why do we do clearing? Why do we use tools? Well, because when we invite something in, we literally open the door. We say, yes, come on in. Everything you bring with you. Well, sugar brings all his friends. He likes that. Well, my bug friends got to come. They love hanging out and partying down here in my belly. So sugar attracts all sorts of things, and you said yes to that. So you gave permission to sugar to hang out with his friends, bring people, do all that gig. So now entities, other people are showing up, things are happening. So you felt really great a week ago. You started eating that sugar. Now a week later, you're like, I feel groggy. I don't feel any good anymore. God, I don't know what's going on, man. Well, you just picked up a whole bunch of energies all week because you opened the door and you said, everybody come on in and have a party. Sugar's in town and Sugar gets to do whatever he wants and bring whoever he likes. And so we're giving permission to that. So when you start thinking of it differently, you can say, think of what it's actually doing instead of that, like, dude, is that child, I mean, you're looking at the cake and you're like, I could like have, oh man, he's going to bring a mobsters. Imagine it for yourself.
Yeah.
There's going to be like, ooh, iguanas, fiery, like, ooh, nasty warts. Oh, they're all going to be hanging out with Sugar. Oh, I don't know if I want all that happening tonight at my place. I don't think I'm into it. I think I'm into that party. Yeah, you know what? I'm not down. I'm not down for that party.
Right, and it's not worth it for that piece
not
of
worth
cake.
it.
Right.
When you think of it different, so
Yeah.
framing it different is another way to really help yourself move through something, is see it in a different light. When you change the whole gig and you get down to you're like, ooh, it's kind of like if you, for instance, have never seen an industrial chicken farm.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
eat industrial chicken, farmed chicken, and you actually see that, and you might change your mind because it is pretty
It's pretty
disgusting
gruesome. Yeah.
and gruesome, and
Yeah.
not only inhumane, but beyond bacteria, beyond horrific. And
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I think it's like anything.
See
When
it
we
different.
we get conscious of something, we learn something, we become more aware, and that can help us. And then sometimes there's some mental challenges with it that maybe we don't even know what's in there.
Well, and then I think other things come in. There's a number of things that can come in. Usually when we see candida, back to that,
Yeah.
we're usually dealing with low self-esteem. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. So these are real big ones that float with candida. And remember, all of these bring their friends, defense, offense. They usually hang out.
What do you mean defense offense?
Oh,
Where you get defensive?
yeah. What did
Yeah.
you say about me on it?
Yeah.
Excuse me, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Right? We get defensive because defensive hangs out with I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
They're like really
Yeah.
close.
They're very close.
Very
yeah.
close. So they always travel kind of as a crew. So, they're like, hey, so you've got Sugar and you got all his friends and then, his
Right.
bug friends. And then you get I'm not good enough's hanging out. He's
Yeah.
got offense and defense chilling at both sides anytime to like, rah,
Well, don't forget about guilt. There's guilt in there too. There's a low vibrational
guilt. And
emotions.
ooh, when you bring up the word low vibration, which the next thing I was thinking of was lowering my vibration. Now, here is really a crux of it for, most of us on the planet. We're not afraid. We know what we're most afraid of, our greatness.
Yeah.
So it's actually, or scared to be great, to actually embody that which you know yourself to be. So I will lower my vibration to match the reality that's around me because it's too scary to actually be that which I am.
Yeah, I hear you.
So that vibration, we can lower ourselves into things. Well, I have to go to the hospital. I got to go to the blah, blah. I got to go, and they're not into this stuff and they don't like these things. And it's just too hard to be different. It's
Yeah.
just too hard to, they make fun of me because I don't want to eat sponge cake.
Right.
Nobody likes someone that's healthy. Oh, what are you, a healthy person? There's a lot of depends on where you flow. But if you're in places where you work, you have
Yeah.
business. I mean, we all of us have places we go. Maybe they're not all. We don't all get to just do everything we want all the time. Sometimes
Right.
we're working, we're engaging,
Well,
we're doing
and
business.
hanging out with family, and they're all eating their blah blah blah, and
They're
that's
like,
not
you want
what
another piece of bacon, Eila?
Yeah.
I got sour cream, whatever, like, hey, we got this chocolate layered velvet cake.
Yeah,
oh my
we've made it just for
God.
you.
Whoa, right? And what are you gonna do? Right? So that is the test for all of us.
Those are regular tests.
What am I
yes.
committed to in myself? And do I believe in myself? And do I want to feel good? Am I actually committed to feeling good? Because I really love this for myself along the way. I would say as I choose my truth and I stand in my truth, then I actually give permission to everyone else around me to do the same. Because it's like being the first person on the dance floor. Everybody wants to get up and dance, but they're all scared
But they're waiting
to
for
do it.
somebody else
Yeah.
to do it first.
When someone else goes, you're like, see, we could all do this.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to do it. Go ahead, laugh all you want, because I know who I am. So this goes back to, or it goes to a foundation of, for me, of faith and trust in source. And you said something earlier that made me think about this. You said it's hard. Oh, taking things personal is hard for you. And I think it's hard for everyone, but I think the cure is even harder for people, which is humility. We have to humble ourselves to God. Ultimately, what gets me through the day is my humility to God. There's things I have to let go of because I just humble myself to God, and I'm grateful to be a humble servant of the infinite and do the work. For I am here to do the great work of God.
I love what you said about our power, and we've talked about that before. You know, that people are less afraid of failing and more afraid of succeeding,
Yeah.
and the power that they'll have and how that might change their life, and or who might not come on the road on that power train, that joyful success train with them, and they may be by themselves, or Aunt Franny won't come, or so.
Well, honestly, you are by yourself. You're all by yourselves.
And we are all by ourselves,
Yeah.
and
But
to
you meet
stay
new friends.
right, and there is something about I have a friend who still lives in the house that she's lived in for 40 years, where I grew up, and I'm like, wow, if I stayed there, it would have been staying small. That's not where I needed to live the rest of my life. I don't know about her and her thing, and I just think about that. If this didn't happen, that wouldn't have happened. If that didn't happen, that wouldn't have happened. And would I still be there hanging out with those people, doing those things like we did when we were 17? So it is important to keep going to the next step and not worry about who's coming and who's not coming, because not everybody comes everywhere.
Well, and remember, I mean, for me, I just always know that it's a solo mission. Like, the entire thing is a solo mission.
Yeah.
You don't actually get to take anyone with you when you leave here. Like,
That's
I
right.
don't get to go, Eila, come on, we're both getting out of here now. You're all on your own. We're all
Yeah.
on our own.
Yeah.
We're all but that's, again, back to the hilarity of the game. We're all united at the same time, because I am you, you are me. We all have access to unity intelligence, unity consciousness, God, source, energy. And if we choose to do what God intended for us to do in this paradigm, before it was disturbed, in essence, and kind of in an enslaved thing that we're moving out of, but obviously we're going to see a lot of rubble, and a lot of people are talking about that. Encourage you to listen to people, and some of the cool, interesting thoughts about what we're in and where we are at this time frame. But ultimately speaking, we're moving out of the rubble and moving upward into a cooperative paradigm where we understand our multi-dimensionality. We are operating in a paradigm of support and the round table of which we can all come and bring our gifts, express who we truly are, supported by one another and by God, resonating our angelic human gifts, which we all have. And we all are superheroes. We are all amazing. We are all incredible. And it is really about taking off the programming, the hindrances, the filters, the things that keep us from understanding the true beauty and brightness and radiance of our eternal light.
Take a breath. That's a big one.
Yes.
Yeah, and all of it, our topic today is love, because it's Happy Love Day, and that really brings up a lot of self-love, really honoring who we are, rather than I wrote down creating our own problems, I think sometimes, like you said, if I don't do what these other people are doing and they're having bacon and eggs, and if I don't do that, then what? So let me lower my vibration and eat the bacon and eggs with them. And now I'm creating my own problem, because that wasn't one of my values. I wasn't going to ever do that again. And
I'm placating at that point, or
I'm
I'm doing something for someone because
or
I
to
don't want
get-
them to feel bad, and I don't want to make a fuss, and
or that I think I'll fit in.
Yeah, I
you
wanna
know,
fit in,
whether
and,
you're 20 or 90, you know,
Right.
we still want to feel like part of a community.
we do,
So
we do. We
Yeah.
don't want to feel like we're outcast or we're weird or we're different.
yeah,
But ultimately, our uniqueness is what makes this place awesome.
mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what we all got to get, is it's cool and fun to be unique and
Mm-hmm.
have fun. Have a little more fun. Have fun.
Find other ways to
every
have fun, though,
day.
right?
No, the fun is in yourself. What
Yeah.
I mean by that is, don't take yourself so serious and allow
Yeah.
yourself to be, to express, to feel into whatever it is I'm wanting to do. And if I don't feel like, you know, the thing is, for some people, we create labels with things like, oh, I don't eat that. That's different than, I can bring attention to myself in my eating. Well, I'm not doing sugar right now, so, you know, I'm not going to eat. Hey, everybody, I'm not eating sugar tonight. I could do that. Or I can just go, ooh, it looks delicious, Jan. Oh, my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, serve it up. Good. And just go walk around. And
Yeah.
they never even noticed I didn't eat the cake.
Right.
I didn't make a deal of it, and they don't even
Right.
know,
Right.
because I was involved. I'm present. I don't have any energy on the cake.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm just not going to eat it.
Yeah.
And no, whatever. They don't need to know what I'm doing. It's none of
Yeah.
their business. You know, what do I need to tell them what I'm doing? They don't need to know what
Right.
I'm eating.
Right.
You know, so why is it
Right.
so important? Do I have to explain myself to anybody? No. And this is another thing. Well, where'd you go? Well, what would you do that for? I always like,
Most people don't even care.
most
honestly.
people don't care, and most
Yeah.
people get in a framework of asking questions that they don't care about either. They really
Right.
don't care either where you
They
just
don't-
went, or who is your, how's your brother? Oh, really? How many kids? Oh, he does. Oh, does he now? Am I going to remember all that information? Do
Mm.
I really care?
Mm-hmm.
If we're sitting and we deeply, you know, if we have a friendship, I always think if when you're friends with someone, these things will just come out naturally by hanging out together.
Yeah.
I'll know that you have a brother or
Yeah.
sister. Well, over time, we just start to know one another. But when we do the cachet list of like,
Yeah.
so hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice to meet you. So how many brothers do you have?
Yeah.
Oh, really? You come from a family of how many? 7? Oh, like it's more like an interview.
An interview,
you
yeah.
know, that I'm
Which
never
you're
going to
gonna-
remember.
Yeah.
You know, so I think getting to more of like the crux of things is really how we get free.
Yeah.
Is when you go to the root, right? Everything is trying to placate and show you something up here so that you get lost and distracted, and you keep running the program. And victimizer, I'm going to repeat that. Victimizer programming is like the number one programming on this planet. It is a program. So if you're playing the blame game, if you feel yourself ever saying, well, if he would do this, if she would do that, well, you know, if he would stop, then I would, any of those kind of things, you're playing the blame game. You're doing the victimizer.
Yeah.
Self-responsibility is our key to experiencing our love. Because when I take responsibility for how I feel, I realize nobody can make me feel anything. And guess what? That means I get to have fun all the time, because I'm actually super fun. So I get to just have fun.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's about. And it's not we get to reflect that with one another and reflect the love.
Yeah. Beautiful. So where do you want to go next? We have 7 minutes yet.
Well, we're still in love, aren't we? What do you mean next? Where else
We're
is
still
there to
in the
go?
love.
Where
Yeah.
else is to go but the love? And so I would love to expand on that love. And what do I mean when I say we're working through these things? We're actually, if you want to know where I want to go next, I want to go to where everyone understands their multidimensionality and is utilizing energy tools, activating their chakra system, which you have an energetic system through your body vessel. You're inhabiting more than one body. You have energetic bodies, layers of bodies, and that each individual understand one another, understand themselves at this capacity. Because when we understand ourselves, I feel that the goal here is to really move into a framework of unity and consciousness where we are activating our God-given created light bodies, this Christic biotechnology that we exist in, that is really quite awesome and amazing, and understand more about it, then you're basically told nothing about what you're actually in when you arrive here in planet Earth. And you're told a lot of lies about how to fix it and how to heal it. And so for those things have to crumble and be changed so that people can understand how empowered and amazing they really are, and that we each have the capacity to heal ourselves and to help one another heal, and that where two or more are gathered, it shall be done, for we are the infinite eternal light. So moving into a framework where more individuals understand this, more people are activating and creating the new framework consciously, living harmoniously, choosing each day to make decisions that actually create that lifestyle, which is just each of us navigating ourselves and choosing to show up. How do I want to show up today? I only have capacity to in charge of myself. I can't make anybody else do anything. I can only choose how I show up. I can choose whether I react. I can choose whether I defend. I can choose whether I choose to take offense. I decide that. And so the commitment is every day to our source, to serving my source, to serving God's source, to be in the energy of eternal living light, so that I activate the vibration of love and am living in a framework where I am literally creating my vibrational reality, which is what we all have the capacity to do. And it doesn't need to be created from wound any longer. That can all be released. And it's really time to move into the higher vibrations, to release that which does not serve us, and to support one another in building and creating new earth systems. And another last note is our children are the answer. They're masterful, amazing souls on this planet coming in at this time. And these children are masters from beyond. And they have come for this ascension time. They have come to build this new earth. And it's our job to listen to them. It's our job to allow them the creative license, to not pull their creativity out of them, to not stick them into institutions which deaden that creativity, but instead to foster that creativity and allow it to inspire your own creativity. So, and that can be, if you don't have kids of your own, it can be just supporting the youth, supporting programming, supporting anything that you feel called to. We all have a call. We all have a mission. We each have a place that we can contribute in this great work at this time. All of us are deeply important. All of us deeply matter. We are each a fractal of the infinite. All of us are the infinite one and have access to this intelligence at all times. So may we choose to rise into your love, to live your love, and to live from the eternal heart of God. And so it is.
And so it is. As you were talking about, not having to fix it. If we have things that we need to, that we have the power to heal ourselves.
Yes.
And I think maybe I don't know what it would be like for someone growing up now. I only know what it was like for me growing up and when I've grown up. And I grew up in a world where you went to somebody and they were going to fix it. You went to the doctor, you went to the dentist, you went and got, you had surgery, you had, all these things. Somebody else was the expert of the body. We were not taught to even understand. I mean, giving some basics in school on how the body works.
This is pretty much the paradigm that has to
this really
fall
needs,
apart.
yeah.
Because
And
it's
it's
just
shifting.
not true.
And it isn't true.
No.
And, last week I was in Maui and I went to this Maui Scalar Center where we slept overnight in the scalar field, and it's very powerful and it's very cool. And what I love about what it is, what it's doing, is it's empowering people to say, I can heal, I can go there and I can do that, and I can change my diet. And it's like it's a tool. It's another tool.
Yes.
Instead of going to some medical professional who's going to put them through something that is just seems to make them worse. Doesn't seem to make them better.
Well, and if we take it to the root of that, back to going to the root,
Yeah.
it's really just giving our power away.
Yeah.
So don't give our power away to any person.
Right.
I can consult with anyone and hear what you have to say. And maybe I take what you have to say, and that's really great information, and I'll use that. But ultimately speaking, I'm going to make the decision and choice about what I think is best for myself, and understanding how much power you really have as an individual, and not putting things in our body that we don't know what they are, putting chemicals and other things. Those things create problems that then become harder to deal with, see? And
Right.
then you do need to do more difficult things because, well, like we said in the beginning of this, I said yes in the beginning by putting it in my mouth. See, so if I'm ingesting chemicals and things that are altering my body, then I'm going to have to deal with those things. And in order to do that, usually that's going to mean cleansing the system and making new choices. You can't, what is that saying? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over
and expecting a different result.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get anything different if you don't do anything different. That's the bottom line. You are
Yeah.
the creator of your reality. We get to choose. Self-responsibility is the answer because it ultimately brings us home. Because we're in charge of ourselves.
Absolutely.
Giving our power. This is a game of self-sovereignty. We are all becoming self-sovereign free beings, claiming our sovereignty. And that is real up on our framework throughout the world right now on so many levels. Some places in this world, they're going to be claiming their sovereignty at a much greater level. We are all being asked at this time on this planet to stand up, claim our self-sovereignty, claim who we are, and say we are free, angelic humans, and that we have the right to choose and decide our destiny and our own will.
Right.
And
Nobody knows what's best for us.
Yeah.
And we need one another. We need to interact, and we learn from one another, and we can help each other. Ultimately, though, the decision of any of that is with us individually.
And as a society, if we can choose to love and respect one another and know that, take nothing personal. Like I could tell Eila, I do tell Eila things, and she's like, yeah, I don't like that. That doesn't work for me. I'm like, oh, all right, works for me. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't take it personal. I'm not mad at Eila because she doesn't like what I like. We like different things. We're
Right.
different vessels. We aren't going to all like the same thing. We're all unique. Remember, we're one. There's nobody like you. You're a unique fractal of the infinite. So if we can get more excited and curious about how awesome and interesting everybody is and get fascinated, we get to rise together in this really miraculous time that we are in. So thank you for listening today.
Thank you, Michál.
Dive into love.
Dive into
each
love
and every
out
moment.
there. Woo!